I'm here actually at Tribal Climate Camp because White Earth is hosting this year. Get to share the beauty of the lakes that they have here and kind of share some of our traditional teaching, some of our natural resources with people from all over the country. So it's a really great opportunity.
Roll around here.
We've noticed like some shifting of the seasons. Winters have been shortened, less cold. We've seen lakes not freezing over when they always do. This is in the last few years. We're really hoping it's kind of an anomaly and not the new norm. It affects local businesses. It makes ice fishing difficult. It's hard on them because the water temperature is about 10 degrees warmer.
So we're here in the headwaters of the Mississippi, which is pretty amazing. I'm actually holding rice, and just know Manoomin, or rice, is so important, a cultural plant for the White Earth community and so many tribes. And so we just thought how amazing to really work here with White Earth Nation and learn about all their important cultural relatives, the plants, the animals, and just learn how we can all work together to support a better future for everybody.
You know, the act of harvesting wild rice is one of the only cultural practices that we still do that has been unchanged, you know, canoe and knockers and, you know, doing it the old way.
I'm knocking, I'm gonna knock on my left side.
For communities that depend on important subsistence plants or animals that are nutritious, if climate change affects the habitats of those plants or animals and makes it so that they're harder to harvest or they're harder to take care of, then you lose that source of nutrition. Indigenous people don't typically see climate change as a new topic because if you look at our history, our governments going back many centuries were actually organized to be adaptive to seasons, to weather, and over time to climate. And so the idea that a well-functioning society was one that was paying attention to climate was just normal.
They wanted somebody that could talk about incorporating Indigenous knowledge and cultural resources into climate adaptation planning, and that's what my program was all about at Glyphwick. We've published a number of resources based in Ojibwe culture, but using the best available science to think about climate vulnerability and how are we going to adapt to what's already here and what's coming. And by we, I mean all of us humans and of all of our non-human relatives.
A lot of what we do is to help clients who are being affected by climate change. Educating them on like the signs and symptoms of maybe heat-related illness, of how to protect themselves from the extreme cold that we have. And so that's what we teach in our clinic.
And there's also spiritual health aspects as well, that if you're living in a world where you're constantly reminded that you don't have a lot of control over how the environment is treated, that's not good as well for our mental health and our spiritual health.
With our storms that we experience, with drought conditions, and it really affects our lifestyle as a tribe. So really what we need to do is try and figure out how we're going to adapt to that. Some of our traditional practices are kind of being threatened right now, and if we take bits and pieces away from those practices, it takes the bits and pieces away from our existence as a tribe here. So I think we got to kind of look at it from a long range period and implement some of those simple steps that we can change right now to lessen the effects of some of those hazards that we currently have.
I'm helping the tribes here help develop their action plans and projects and incorporating climate change science, traditional knowledge, and Indigenous languages. So I'm one of the co-authors for the Tribal Adaptation Menu, and it's a menu of strategies and approaches to help tribes incorporate actions into their projects and planning.
It was very surprising to me to see the wide range of different nations here representing themselves, the different lifestyles they're representing, and the dynamic application of like climate change adaptation. being a point of inspiration for other tribes, whether it be in a global context. And you really get a sense of that here.
I was looking forward to how this camp would give us like a supportive space that gives us accountability on our project. And in this moment, like we're like, how do we create this digestible version of our vision for our project?
A delegation from Red Lake has decided to create a plan to achieve full community engagement on climate change. So instead of it being sort of like one singular project, it's more of an engagement plan. This plan really heavily involves listening to the community.
Want to make sure that the climate action plan for the tribe is rooted in like an indigenous feel and indigenous perspective. So it's great that everyone's been so open and willing to share and generous with their cultural perspectives to kind of share that knowledge with us and teach us how to do it for the community.
Our hope is that at the end of those workshops, they'll have a fully fleshed out project, and then we will help them look for funding. We're in this together as Indigenous people. We're not doing this on our own. And so that support is really needed and helpful for our Indigenous communities.
I'm really proud to see all these young Native people getting involved in this work, and it just really makes me happy to know and to see them following their passion. We are still here. We got to keep moving forward, fighting for the environment, fighting for the planet, and fighting for our communities.
Our Natural Resources Department was selected for a Blazing Star Award from the Minnesota Conservation Society, which 3 entities through Minnesota are selected, and they selected ours based on our youth programming, where we share wild ricing, fishing, maple syruping, and lots of on-the-water activities with our youth, just getting them out, getting them involved with nature.
Gatherings like this one give me a lot of hope because I see the young folks here, and they're the ones that are going to replace us, and they care and they want to do what's right for their communities and take care of Mother Earth and take care of all the other beings. So I'm glad to see them here, and I'm glad to be part of this.